Welcome, everybody. Once again, it is I, Brendon Traxler, with another episode of Colonize the Ocean podcast. This is the June 22nd, 2026 episode, and I thought I had covered this. Maybe it was in a live stream. I was going back through all my list of shorts that I had done over the past couple of years, and I didn't see this one pop up. Maybe I mistyped it, whatever. But we're going to talk about the difference between ambient pressure underwater habitats and one atmosphere underwater habitats, why ASC leans towards the one atmosphere, while most of the industry is ambient, and why the pros and cons of both those are. I'm going to try to do it quickly, too, because I want to try to keep this short. But real quick, ambient is basically you internalize the pressure inside as outside. So when you, every 10 meters, 33 feet, you change one atmosphere underwater, which is 14.2, 14.5 psi. And what that means is that every time you drop down another one atmosphere, two atmospheres, three atmospheres, that, especially when it comes to scuba diving, you enter into the dive tables and all that, and you have to start worrying about decompression times and how that plays out, and how your body's getting saturated, and how much time you're going to spend decompressing from that as deeper you go, versus a one atmosphere where it is you're maintaining that surface level pressure no matter how deep you go. You can probably already see the cons of that or the pros of that, depending on how you're looking at it. So why has ambient always been the preferred method in the past is because most of them have been scientific research. So they want the scientists, the divers, to be able to come and go as freely as they need to be. So that means they're going to be stuck underwater for a period of time, and they want to be able to leave that underwater habitat and come out and go. Now, the one thing with that is that's where the moon pool comes into play, because if you start getting into a one atmosphere habitat and you start going deeper than that 33 feet, 10 meters, you start to get into an issue where that water is going to want to start rushing in there to fill that difference in pressure. So with an ambient pressure habitat, you can go down 60, 90, 100, 200 feet underwater with a moon pool, as long as you're keeping that pressure inside the same pressure as it is outside. Some of the problems with that is when you start getting too deep, you can't breathe regular oxygen. You have to start breathing a mix of helium or some other mixed gas, and able to offset the effects of nitrogen narcosis or the effects of that pressure. And so that makes conversation a little bit more difficult, and it's not great for just general life. Also, another con to that is once you get down there, even if you're only at 2 atmospheres, about where Aquarius sits at, if you're down there longer than, I think that they put the limit around 45 minutes, you are stuck down there for the decompression time. And the decompression time can get long. It can be days, weeks, even longer, depending on how long you're underwater and your body is getting saturated with all that nitrogen from being underwater and that pressure you're dealing with. But the pros are you can come and go as much as you want from the underwater habitat to go out there and dive, to explore, to see what's going on. Plus, engineering is a little bit easier because you don't have to engineer as much. I mean, you still have to design it strong, but you're not fighting the pressure as much pushing in, and since you're pushing out at the same time with the ambient pressure inside. So the engineering changes a little bit there. But the main reason that ambient pressure underwater habitats have been the favorite up till now, and still are now, look at deep, that's what they're doing, is because they want the ability to come and go as see fit and as needed for scientific purposes, or just from switching scuba divers in and out of the habitat. They don't want to have to raise a habitat to the surface or to one level to put more astronauts, divers in it and lower it back down. So they keep it that. Now, why one atmosphere is attractive, and that's why the path that I believe that we're going down, what we are going down, and why I feel that that's the future, is because what's your goal? if it is purely scientific, Ambient works fine for you, and that's going to be fine. But if you want to do other things with it, whether you want an underwater Airbnb, whether you want underwater data centers, whether you want, businesses, homes, whatever, that's where you have to go to the one atmosphere for multiple reasons. For the main is that mixed gas aspect first. You don't have to go Airbnb and have to breathe an oxygen helium mix to enjoy your weekend down there. You don't want to have to dive down and go through a moon pool. Maybe you do. And that's why Jules is such a hit, is because you get that. And at first you'll have to have the moon pool access, but going down further, you don't want to have to maintain that 20 to 30 foot sweet spot of being an underwater habitat. It's a limited area of underwater real estate to put that. You want to be able to go a little bit deeper than that, but still fly out the next day to go back home after spending a weekend down there. So it's still elements like that. Obviously, the cons are the access. The access becomes a tricky situation. How do you get to a one atmosphere underwater habitat if it's deeper than one atmosphere? So that has to be combated, whether it's elevators, whether it's submersibles attaching to it, whatever that may be. You can have hybrids though too, and that's another thing I'm very pro on, is a habitat that is mostly one atmosphere, but maybe you have a decompression wing on that can saturate you to the pressure outside, so you can come and go, and so forth and so on. That is obviously much down the road, and totally doable. The technology's there, the science is there. It's you can do that. So, that being said, ASC leans heavily on the one atmosphere because our goal is making the underwater accessible to everybody that wants to be there. And the only way you can do that is allowing, as the Seasteading Institute coined it, the grandma law, the grandma rule, whatever, that I came up with, where if grandma can't visit it, it's not good enough. And grandma's not going to be scuba diving down, and grandma's not going to be breathing helium. So that's kind of where we're at. That's where ASC is at. That's where the technology is at too. So which one do you prefer? Which one do you like the idea of better? That's probably going to be the poll this week. And speaking about polls, our poll from last week on our Patreon was talking about the unseen factor of underwater, UFOs, all kind of, not UFOs anymore, but UAPs, and different aspects of the unseen, the alien world of the ocean. And so the question was, what do you think is the most exciting unseen benefit of putting more humans and cameras underwater and on the ocean floor? So the options were, the truth is down there, absolutely, but purely biological aliens, as far as scientific, octopus, stuff along those lines. The funding boost of organizations getting behind underwater habitats for that purpose of looking for underwater life. That may be extraterrestrial. Let's stick to the basics. Ignore all the sci-fi or the otherworldly stuff and just stick to practical stuff, or all the above. And this week there was no, like most weeks, there's usually, sometimes there's one that sticks out. This week it was just an all of the above in there. So I don't know. That's why your voice is important, and that's why you need to hop over to patreon.com/Atlantis Sea Colony and take the polls. They're free. I make it as easy as possible. You just got to go take them. So hop over there, check it out. Otherwise, check us out, AtlantisSeaColony.com. Find out who we are, what we're doing. We are moving. We are moving forward with stuff. Now, this has been a long, arduous journey, but hey, we're looking forward to some great stuff, and I hope you will join us on that. With that being said, I hope you have a great week, and I will talk to you next week.